Welcome to Raunchy Power Hour, a book club for discussing romance, from the erotic to the erroneous. As always, this is an explicit podcast and contains strong language, adult themes, and sexual content. If you are sensitive to these things, we urge you calmly, but sincerely, to turn off your radio now. This month, we are reading The Nightmare Before Kissmas by Sarah Rash. This is part 2 of The Nightmare Before Kissmas. This podcast will contain spoilers of the entire book. If you want to read along with us, stop listening now. It's okay. We'll wait for you to come back. This book contains themes of emotional abuse, abandonment, death, grief, and alcohol abuse. You have been warned. I'm your producer, Ashlyn.
I'm one of Santa's helpers, Sydney.
I'm one of Santa's anti-helpers, Christina.
Now get ready to overthrow capitalism?
Okay. Christina. I have a question for you.
What's that, Sydney?
There are a lot of Christmas songs out there. Ones that are wholesome. Ones are about like what kids want for Christmas. But what's your favorite sexy Christmas song? There's a couple options.
Does Last Christmas count? Wham.
Honestly, I'll count that.
Okay, then that's definitely my favorite.
Okay.
Ashlyn?
I have a weirdly specific answer.
Okay.
My sexy Christmas song is from the hit sitcom Community, where the entire cast gets taken over by the spirit of Christmas, and one of the characters, who is Jewish, has a full breakdown and like is speaking in a baby voice to the tune of Santa Baby, where she's doing like teach a little baby about Christmas.
It's so good. That's a good choice.
It's so funny every time.
Good about that. Santa Baby. Okay, I will say Baby It's Cold Outside is my personal favorite sexy Christmas tune. Personally.
Ooh, can I shake it up? I have a question for you, Sydney.
Yes, ask me a question.
Why is it so cold on Christmas?
So I don't know much about the weather patterns.
No, I'm cutting you off because it's December.
I walked right into that one, didn't I? Yeah, I did. I did. Well, speaking of cold times and needing to warm up by the fire with someone you love, it's The Nightmare Before Kissmas. So this is part 2. We're getting back into the book with our girl, Sarah Rahash. Raj? I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. Rahash? I feel like I say every author's name wrong.
Rash.
Thank you. Sarah Rash. You know what? I apologize to majority of the authors who I say their names wrong. Except for E.L. James. Fuck you, E.L. James. Anyway, you're getting coal in your stocking this year. So jumping back in, we get right hot and steamy yet again. And it's because Cole has decided that after this, his whole thing with Hex got broken up because of his dad, he's like, I need to go like talk to him about the collective thing, because I think maybe that could work better for the winter holidays as well. So
talk to him he's alone
in his room. How scandalous! There's not even a chaperone around. How dare they? I do feel like we need to read. I do feel like we need to read a Victorian romance at some point. I'm just putting that out there.
Yes.
So he goes into his room and he knocks and he's like, hey, Hex, I want to talk to you about, the Autumn Collective and all of that. And Hex is like, okay. So they sit and talk about it, and they talk about how the Autumn Collective. It's just all of them like pooling the joy together, and how they pool, like I said, they pool it, and then they use that to then build up their own holidays and expand all of their influences so none of them like go away. And Cole is like, I really think this is a good idea for how the winter holiday should go. And Hex is like, yeah, I think that's really great.
But they're flirting the whole time.
Flirt the whole time. But then they start doing more than flirting. And we get another hot mic session.
There's a specific line that I did hate. I don't know, Sydney, if you maybe you liked this. They're talking. Yeah, and like at some point it's like, oh yeah, like Halloween. You're right. Halloween is better than Christmas. And Hex says, do you want me to adopt you? And what does Cole say? He says, oh yes, daddy. And
okay, no, that
going.
No, I thought that was awkward and kind of funny. And then the finger guns. He just finger guns at Hex.
Finger guns.
It's like, oh, Cole, I can't help you here. Yeah, you're fumbling hard, my guy.
The secondhand embarrassment I felt in that moment was rough.
It does make up for it when they start making out and they're getting a little bit hot and heavy, a little touchy, and Cole decides to like step back, and Hex is like, but why? And he's like, no, sweetheart, I want to take my time taking you apart. And I tell you, I was like, hell. I need a fan.
Like, spice meter, it was kind of at like a 1, 2, and it was like slowly creeping up, and then all of a sudden that dial just all the way full blast.
And I was like, oh, I'm sweating like a sinner in church. I need to fan myself off. I need to clutch my pearls. Like, who? The yearning off the charts. We are truly yearning for each other. And so Cole decides to take a step back and be like, I want to take my time taking you apart. And Hex is like, okay. So Cole then says goodnight. And I was just like, dear God, you're giving this man blue balls. But okay, that's fine.
He really does. He's like, I note Hex's hand on his mouth, the barest touch of his fingertips to his lips.
Yeah, I know. I was like, dear God.
Wow.
It's like, whoa, okay. But then next morning, I love that Cole's like, I have to step out and like not get too hot and heavy with him. Next morning, Cole decides to bring Hex breakfast. Again, very cute. But do they eat any of it? No, because they start making out again. And start getting again hot and heavy with more touching and stuff. And the line, the moment when I'm fluent in your shivers, I can't do it. I can't. That is the fanfic writing that speaks to my soul. And it just scratches that primordial itch where I'm like, that's the type of fanfic writing I want. I don't want it bad. I want this.
It did. It felt a lot like reading like fan fiction levels of like, you're finally actually getting what the characters have been like hinting at the whole time.
Yes, I was like, oh. See, I do want to know if the author was a fanfic writer, and if so, girl, what fandom were you a part of, and what were you writing? You have to tell me. I was like, please, just tell me. I just want to know. If she ever wants to come onto our podcast, I will ask her. Anyway, so a lot more touching and like fondling, a lot of fondling. And then another line. This time Hex says it, and it's more like Cole's like very high strung and everything, and Hex just goes, maybe you could do with a little with being pulled apart. again.
The
Like, damn.
back and forth is really good. Like,
It's
very
so
good writing here.
I will say, I think what Sarah does really great in this book is a lot of just the back and forth banter between characters, which is very prevalent, I think, with like mid-millennial writers who have come off of like writing fan fiction. Like, I'm thinking a lot of like Casey McQuiston here. Like, this is, I can see a lot of Red, White, and Royal Blue influence in this specific part of the book. Which I'm not hating. I'm not saying that as an insult. I see the inspiration and I like it. Thank you.
It's good. Like, it's really nice to have these scenes that are very, like, getting hot and heavy, steamy, but, like, they're not just, like, descripting what is physically happening. There's a whole lot of, like, dialogue, and I appreciate it. And it's not like, besides the daddy line I read, the dialogue is usually pretty good. Like, Sydney's been getting me a better sampling.
Okay, but the daddy line was accidentally said and wasn't serious. Except Hex does ask, he goes, what did he say? He goes, oh, do you want me to call you daddy? And Cole's like, no. And he goes, mm-hmm. I was like, okay, we're getting at daddy issues again.
Daddy issues, and it all comes back to daddy issues.
It comes back to daddy issues.
Also, we're just having a very serious conversation about blackmail.
Yeah, then they just like start getting grabby. Anyway, as they're like doing all of this, Ren, who we haven't mentioned up to this point, but this is kind of when she really starts being a part of the story. Ren is the main assistant, like think right-hand man to Santa. So like she is his personal assistant. And she's knocking on Hex's door being like, hey, I have your schedule for today. And Hex is like, go hide in the fucking bathroom, Cole. And Cole's like, okay. So, scramble into there. And then Hex opens the door and there's a little bit of tension just because what's going to happen after all of this? Like they're just kind of fooling around, but.
And Sydney, do you think Ren knows? Like,
100%.
At this point.
100%. The fact that the kitchen knows, because it's hinted that the kitchen knows because he's grabbing breakfast and they're like, oh, you're up early. And he goes, yeah, I'm just grabbing stuff for Iris. And they're like, grab the tea, which Iris doesn't drink tea. Iris drinks coffee. So
that is true. So this whole time is like kind of goofy because they're like sneaking around for no reason.
For no reason. Well, they're hiding from Santa, so I guess
they're
there's
hiding
that.
from Santa.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. And I'm telling you why.
You better not make out. I'm telling you why.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
And so I will say in this moment I am annoyed with Cole because he's like being a pain in the butt and not hiding, and Ren is outside the door and then he's like, wait, can you curse someone, blah blah blah, and like,
oh yeah.
So things are hinted at that do get like kind of fun later with the way that the holiday magic works. I think the holiday magic was fun. I see did she write romantasy or just fantasy?
Romantasy as well.
Romantasy. I see it here.
Yeah, you see it. You see the influence. I was a little annoyed with that too, but I did love that basically whenever Hex curses, some sort of Halloween party thing just like appears, and just like a full jack-o'-lantern appears out of thin air. It's like, okay, cool. That's a little silly.
No problem.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they're just like making out and they're talking about all of. I'm trying to read my handwriting and genuinely I cannot read it.
Well, it's kind of like they kind of get. What do you say that? Like, I don't know if this actually counts. Was Ren like cock blocking because then Cole leaves the bathroom?
I don't think she did it on purpose, but I think she definitely was like, yeah, someone's in there. I think initially when she knocked, she was just trying to deliver the thing, and then she's like, Cole, damn it. So this chapter 2, also, it's really important because while all of this making out and all this other stuff is happening, Hex reveals a bit about his family. And it's revealed that Hex has 3 younger brothers who are all triplets. And he also did have an older sister named Raven. And I say it in the past tense because unfortunately Raven did pass away in a car accident or something like that. It was very tragic for Hex, and he originally wasn't supposed to be the heir to Halloween. So, like, in the middle of a lot of smut, we just get, like, this somberness, which was a little odd at times, where we would, like, go full steam ahead, and then it would go sad again. But this is a very important plot point to know, which is about Raven being the original heir and not Hex. And Cole does say something sweet. He goes, I really wish I could have met her. And Cole's like, yeah, I think she would have really liked you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's really sweet.
It's so sad. Again, this is when the grief is really present with all the characters.
Yeah, there really is like a through line. But I think what Hex brings up specifically in this is the reason he loves Halloween so much, and also Dia de los Muertos. Oh, I remember now the context of him bringing her up. They were sitting and talking about their favorite things about their holidays. And and Hex brought up that he specifically likes Dia de los Muertos, so then he can set up her, what is it called?
Ofrenda is the thing. Offeretta is an offering. It is the ofrenda.
Thank you. So yeah, he sets it up to like he feels closer to Raven, and I was like, oh my god, that is so sweet. And Cole's like, yeah, I don't really have a favorite Christmas tradition because it's been feeling very forced for a long time. And it's like, damn, Cole. So yeah, a lot of grief. And honestly, now that I think about it, the through line of grief theme is actually pretty poignant, especially around the holidays. Because it is hard to not have someone there when they previously have been, especially if they're like a big pinnacle in like your life, like losing a mother or a father or a sister,
Yeah, in those moments, like, it's nice that they're also finding each other, that they both have these moments of like feeling the loss during their own holidays and other like holidays, kind of mixing it all together of being like, yeah, and I miss them all the time, and especially now. And then they get back to being sexy.
And then they get back to being sexy. Yeah, but they reminisce about how the fact they like either miss how the person was or was when they were there, but then they are fine again when they get sexy. Sexiness helps everything. Helps you pass sadness. So as the day is going on, there's another event that Cole has initially opted out of because he and Chris were working on rough letters to send to the different holidays, which had been blackmailed by Santa. If you're just now coming into the podcast and you're hearing me say that, I'm so sorry. But Santa blackmails people.
Evil Santa.
Evil Santa. And how they plan to do this is that they are going to get into the I said it earlier, the route planner, the planner route room. They're going to the place where all the addresses are of the good boys and girls who get joy. So to do that, Cole kind of brings Hex and Iris along after the event. And then Chris and Cole? No, God, no. Cole and Hex. Sarah, I love you so much. Keep doing it. Sarah, I love you so much. Do not name your characters with similar beginnings of names, or else your dyslexic podcasting host, which is going to be reviewing the book that you've written, will accidentally say two brothers' names at the same time, and that's not good for you or for me.
They are kind of similar. They give similar vibes.
Chris and Cole? They both start with the kaka. It's not good for me.
It's too much.
It's too much. I can't do it. I'm dyslexic and I can't read. So they decide to go in and they get in. Basically, Cole just asks nicely. He's like, "Can I come in?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, come on in." And Cole's like, "Oh, I guess the reason they're just like letting me do this is because Dad didn't tell everyone that about like the whole new Koa incident, and didn't let that spread." And just to recap for listeners, new Koa is back at the beginning of the book. Cole accidentally caused a whole economic issue with a small city in a small country because he was trying to fulfill Christmas wishes.
A meltdown, and which is apparently hidden well, despite being huge news.
Yeah, and the fact that the holiday press wasn't able to get a hold of that, like I thought that was very odd, you know?
Evil Santa's powers, because like
evil Santa
Cole's just waltzing in. He's like, "Hi," like route planning, and they're like, "Hello," and he's like, "You used to work in the stables," and he's like, "Yup." And like I guess the stables didn't hear about it.
I don't know, but yeah, apparently Dad kept a really, really ironclad like grip on it, and through this experience, Cole's like, "Huh, so yeah, I guess he didn't really tell other people what happened with that whole incident. So I guess they have all just been waiting for me to, start training again to, be Santa someday or something. I don't know." But he has a little panic about not knowing if he's doing the right thing, because the last time he tried to do something right, it didn't go well. And Hex is able to calm him down, and he's like, "Hey, you're learning, you're trying, just take a breath, you got this." And Cole also then begins to realize, he's like, so if our own staff and people don't know what happened with the new Koa incident, what do our actual people think of us? Like, that's actually really good to know. And I was like, yeah, Cole, it is good.
It's like that's kind of the basis of like being royalty, is like that's why his dad's cared so much about their image. And Cole has not really thought about this. He thinks about himself, but he hasn't thought about like thinking like, okay, but what does this actually mean?
Yeah, he's
learning.
He's pretty self-centered. He's learning. He's getting there. Which fair enough. I don't know how well I would deal with the stress of having the public eye on me, especially on like very personal things. And so we're thinking a lot about Dad's manipulation and everything we've put out. So they're able to get the addresses of all the different holiday kingdoms and getting them. So, but when they're about to go mail them out, they finally let Iris into the fold, tell her everything about what's going on. And Iris is obviously pissed because she's like, holy shit, Santa is evil, bad Santa, and he's really causing a lot of problems. And she goes, so how are you guys going to make sure Santa doesn't know that these like find these letters? And Cole and Chris are like,
There's like a pause. It's so good to see that they didn't think this through.
They did not. And Iris is like, are you going to use magic? Because like if you use magic, then he may be able to feel that. And they're like, oh yeah, no shit, we didn't think of that. Or like, how are we going to mail these out? And X is like, well, why don't we go to North Pole City? So one, you can mail out your letters, and two, so you can see what the opinion of the people are on the royal family. And Cole's like, oh, he's hot and he's smart. Damn. I'm impressed.
He's really using up the whole like mischief night, which is fun because it's like Hex has been kind of just like, you get moments of like who Hex is, but I feel like right here he starts joining the group.
Yeah, truly. He's like, oh, okay, I'm ready to fuck around and find out, like I'm ready to throw in some tomfoolery.
So a night on the town.
Yeah. And Hex is able to create just a portal out of blackness and like darkness and just fun in general because, you know, that's where his powers derive from. And they all disguise themselves and go into the city. And Cole asks a little bit about the image. And everyone's like, we love Santa. And Cole's like, fuck. We all love Santa. Like, what did you expect, my dude?
He literally, and he keeps like pestering people, and like I think he was a little too strong, like going up
A little bit.
and he's not very good at this.
No, he's terrible. He's awful. And he like comes to the conclusion. He goes, fuck, it's gonna ruin these people if they like find out that Santa's not a good Santa. And Hex is like, look at me. Look at me. It's one step at a time. You can't do everything at once, my boy. One step at a time.
He's really having to come to terms with the fact that he's royalty and that the way his dad has like played them up is like they literally are just figureheads.
Yeah.
Kind of vibes is what they're like, what everyone in North Pole City thinks. They're like,
yeah, exactly.
I could see that being hard to come around. And the chant was kind of goofy.
Santa, Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's like,
because they say, they keep chanting Christmas because they're like pretty sure the Christmas Prince will win.
Yeah. It's so stupid. But yeah, Cole's like, okay. And then this is when Cole then tells Hex about the new Koa incident. And tells him about what happens, and Hex just again comforts him and is like, you tried to do something good. You were naive, you were misguided. Yes, you caused a problem, but you did out of like a good heart. And the fact that you're trying to learn and try to do better and try again, that's like very brave of you. And Cole's like, aw, I think I like this guy. I think he's kind of sweet. And we're like, yeah, no like, shit, dumbass.
Good try. I like right here, where it's really cute when they're chatting back and forth, and Hex is being all like, but you tried, you did bring joy, Cole. It brought us together.
I know. Oh,
that was so cute.
Oh, I loved it so much. Because Hex's whole thing is like, well, even if we only bring like a day of happiness, like that's worth more than nothing at all, you know? And I don't know, I like his viewpoint on that, you know? But I loved it. I loved it so much. I was like, oh, also, can we do an honorable mention to the zombie gingerbread man that Hex decides to make for Cole, which was very cute.
It was fun, the fact that like they're all just like sitting there making cookies, and this directly must influence Cole later on when they do the cookie decorating. Like,
100%.
Revisiting this, he's getting these ideas of like, hey, how do we bring people together with something a little bit more fun and less staged? Crazy concept.
Yeah. Which I think also then is commentary on like how we treat Christmas now, you know, like all of the fanfare and everything, instead of focusing on what the thing that's actually important, which is spending time with family, loving people, spreading joy and cheer in that way, and creating memories. Not all of the plastic trinkets and the photo ops and everything, you know?
Capitalism.
Capitalism. There it is again. There's that theme again. God damn it.
We love it.
We love it. We love it. We love it. So after this happens, we get
Sorry. This is just such a funny segue in the book.
It's such a funny and weird segue, because this is when we really have... So we've had a couple smutty scenes, but this is our first like full-on smut like sex scene. I mean, actually, no, I take that back. This is like our second. But there are some weird points within the smut. So let me go back before we get to where I was just about to jump in. we're at another event. Dad, it's like some birthday for some person in the court, and Cole is bored. And being Cole, he's like, okay, I'm bored. Hey, everyone, we have like a special thing. And everyone's like, okay, except the guy who's like, what about my birthday cake? Which I was like,
I love that guy.
I'm like, where's my birthday cake? I just want my birthday cake. That's me too.
He gave the same energy as the guy in Lilo and Stitch that always drops his ice cream.
Yes, 100%. Oh my god,
I love him.
And so Cole decides to kind of revamp everything and bring some of this joy in to do like a movie marathon. So he invites all the courtiers in, and they're trying to figure out what Christmas movie to watch. And Hex is actually the one who chooses the movie, which is called The Christmas Prince.
And he
Shocker.
loves Christmas movies.
He loves Christmas movies. And everyone like tears up and is joyful. And then Chris is like, come to my room. And Hex is like, okay.
Which is so funny because it's like you have such a really cute moment of Cole being like a good Santa kind of, where he's like, guys, Christmas joy, and they're all loving the movie, and he brought popcorn. He remembered the cake because he felt bad.
He did. Yeah.
And then he's like, hey.
You want to go have some sex?
And then they do.
They do bone. So I don't really know. Okay. So Christina, you have been around for a book that included some sex scenes, but this one I feel like is a step up for you. We're going up in the spice meter for you, Christina. How'd you feel? How are we doing here? What do you think?
We have gone up. I would say I think we didn't go up in like necessarily an amount, but we went up in quality.
Okay.
I would say the quality went up, where I'm like, okay, these are scenes. Like they're not just like tossed in there. I feel like these were like planned. Mm-hmm. This one I will say was long.
It was long smut. We got a long bit of smut.
It was long. It was cute. I was a little confused sometimes.
Fair.
I was really confused. I was like, what body parts where?
I did have to like think for a second. I was like, oh, I don't know where we're going with what, but it's okay. We did figure it out.
My imagination.
It was. I will say too, for anyone coming into this book, the smut is more vague than what you expect it to be. It's still explicit.
It was way more vague than I imagined, based off of like, if you've heard about this book on like Book Talk or Bookstagram, people are overhyping the scenes, in my opinion. As someone who like casually dabbles into romance, I would not call this like high on the spicy tier.
So it is still explicit. Let's just say that real quick though. Like there's
100%.
definitely it's still explicit. Like this is definitely not something for an underage. Well, it says the things.
This is not for the YA crowd.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. I couldn't figure out the right way to say that. Thank you, Ashlyn, for saving my ass. It's not a fade to black, but it is more vague than like if you're a fan fiction reader and you're on AO3, it's more vague than that. But from that, I will say there was one weird point in just the middle of the smut, which just like drove it to a halt, which is when Hex reveals that the only time in which he's been with someone, which was a one-off like blowjob, it was with his dead sister's boyfriend,
which after the funeral.
After the funeral, I felt like that was a very weird point to make. It was a little weird. Don't know why we had to put that in there. I feel like we could have put it somewhere else.
And then, because like Cole is like, yeah, let me show you how you should be treated, because that's not how you should be treated. But I'm like, but wait. I don't know. I had some like it just felt weird.
It's not how he's supposed to be treated, but at the same time, it's really weird that we like brought up trauma in the middle of porn.
And then they kept going.
And then they finished. They were fine. They got through it. So it was a little silly. It was a little silly to include that there. I will say that. That's a gripe I have.
So if you're planning on being like a skimmer, it is difficult in this book to be a skimmer, I will say.
Don't skim.
Don't skim.
Actually,
skimming books. Whoa, what?
No, I'm not gonna lie. I got bogged down with how long this was, and I originally started skimming through because it was so much, and I was on the bus, and I needed to keep reading, and so I started skimming because I was like, well, I'm confused with the body parts, and then I like saw something, and I was like, wait, that seemed like important information, and so I had to go back. So I've been outed as a skimmer sometimes. Sorry, guys.
Horrifying information to learn.
Shame.
Shame on me, but I went back. I saw the fault in my ways. I went back.
Shame.
And they went back too.
Shame all around. Yeah, they did.
Recovered.
What?
Do you hear the joke you just said? They went through the back? They went back?
Yeah, I thought I made it on purpose. I read it.
Just the way you said it, like so casually, and then did not react.
No, I got confused. Sorry, my video feed keeps like pausing awkwardly. So sometimes if I'm pausing, it's like scattered, but you guys don't react, which means it's definitely on my part.
It was just so funny because Ashley and I just went, whoa.
Yeah, no, on purpose.
That was a genuine Christina sex joke. Good job, Christina.
Thanks, guys. I read it.
That was really good. That was really good.
I'm bowing.
That's you should. That was a good one. Better than a lot of the ones I make. So we get a little bit of a time skip after this. It's a couple days. I don't know. I think it was like a week or two, if I remember, which is quite a big of a jump. I understand that we had to probably for like page count.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of vague on the time skip because he says like, because every morning now my pillow smells like citrus and spice. And he's like, through these days, and I'm like, okay, so but like,
yeah,
all right.
I do kind of wish maybe this was when Hex did the little trauma dump about his dead sister and him having sex. Yeah, but it's okay.
I would have made a little more sense like bringing it up later in like a smaller scene, not the really long scene. Anyways, I'll stop harping on it, but
yeah, it was just a little. Hey, Sarah, if I can just call you that by your first name, it was a little odd. I will say that. I liked your book otherwise. I liked it a lot. Please don't hate me. Anyway. They do more. So Cole does some more spontaneous plans, like including the other houses and like the decorations and doing some cookie decorating in the kitchens with other people. To kind of like, I
wonder where he got that idea.
Interesting. And he does more of this stuff to kind of like maybe bring some more joy to people, but also to kind of combat the polished look his father had put around Christmas. And after one of these days, Cole and Hex are in the empty hallway, and Cole's like, hey, do you want to come to my room later? And Hex is like, yeah, I do. And as he says that, Iris comes to Cole telling him that his dad has found the letters that he sent to the other holidays, and he is pissed.
Which, like, it's evil Santa rifling through.
Yeah, that's like, damn, evil Santa. How dare you rifle through your son's things? And Cole's like, I'll come find you, Hex, after this. We'll talk. And Hex is like, okay. And Cole goes to his room, and it's honestly, it's a pretty intense. It's an intense scene where evil Santa is not happy with Cole. I mean, and I think if I was in his point of view, for a good reason, I would be pissed. Not to the level in which he is at, though, but like to be undermined and like trusting, even though, you know, his son is.
Yeah, he literally says, like, King Claus says, "Did you honestly believe you could conspire behind my back?" And Cole just says, "Yes."
Yeah.
I would be fuming.
Yeah, I would be fuming too. But Dad basically tells Cole that he is a disappointment and that he shouldn't have trusted him and that he's going to go through with everything. And Cole's like, well, why? And evil Santa's like, well, I'm going to tell the Halloween collection, like collective, not the Halloween collective, the Autumn collective, that all the blackmail, because like you say you care for this Halloween prince. And Cole's like, no, don't hurt him. Like, you can't hurt him. And no, all of that.
Dad, please.
And he then like basically says, well, did Hex like co-conspire to do this? Like, how bad would that look? And then says that Hex has to leave and that he's no longer welcome in the castle. And Chris kind of steps in to try and defend Cole and be like, hey, Dad, like, you're really out of line with all this. And evil Santa nearly hits one of his children. Like, and he like pulls his hand back, like almost to strike Chris. Cole pushes him out of the way to take the blow. I was kind of shocked. I had to go back and reread what happened because I was like, did he actually like hit his child?
And like, he doesn't. They go and he like says, because Cole thinks he's going to, but what he's doing is just an exaggerated gesture with his hand up. And this is when Santa gets a little like, you can like, he has a mood shift because he realizes what Cole thought was happening. Cole thought that Santa was going to hit Chris, but Santa was just gesturing, and Santa realizes that, and he just kind of like changes the mood in the situation. And it says, I watched the connection sizzle across him, his gaze going to his hand, to my lifted arms, my thumb with Hex's skull ring, to Chris on the ground. Dad's glare goes blank.
Yeah, it was really heavy. And basically evil Santa's like, you will dissolve whatever winter collective, you'll unsend everything, you will marry Iris, and Hex is leaving. And Cole, feeling defeated, just goes, yes, I'll do it to protect Hex. And then here comes the third act breakup, which I knew was coming. I was wondering how we were going to get here, and then we did get here.
I was wondering your thoughts on this. If you expected one.
Here's the thing. I expect one with every romance chapter, with every. It's very formulaic. Ooh, 1 minute. Do I sound weird? No, I don't. I thought I sounded weird for a second. Sorry. Third act breakups are kind of like just a thing in romance books. We actually talked about this with we talked about this a bit in our interview with Jun Yi, actually. She had read a book, which I want to go back to the episode and find out what book she was talking about again. But she talked about the formulaic, like the points in which you're going to hit in a romance book. So almost within every single romance book, you're going to get a third act breakup. Do I like this trope? No. Do I expect it every time? Yes. Was this the worst one I've ever read? No. This was actually made sense. Like this is an instance when an actual third act breakup actually makes sense, and it's not just to do the and everyone lives happily ever after like scene. Or like they get back together, they kiss, and then they have a sex scene. Like this one actually made sense. Because there was actual conflict. It's like, okay, well, evil dad is literally blackmailing the guy I'm kind of seeing on the side in his family, and it could ruin like this holiday and everything. And on top of it, my guy I was seeing on the side also told me to not like put myself in danger or like protect my own holiday because he could protect his own. And I also don't know if there's a future, especially all this. Like that's a lot of like actual conflict building up into the breakup.
It made sense, but I was still disappointed.
Were you? Okay.
Ashlyn, were you going to say something?
Yeah, for the record, the book is called Romancing the Beat by Gwyn Hayes.
I'm writing that down. I actually might read that.
It is the story structure for romance novels.
Good to know. Romancing the Beat. That seems like I'm sorry. For some reason, the title kind of sounds like a bad title for a Justin Bieber song for some reason, and I don't understand why.
Beauty and the Beat?
Yeah, you're thinking of the hit song featuring Nicki Minaj called Beauty and the Beat.
Oh, yeah, I gotta keep an eye out for Selena.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. So, Cole has gone to Hex, and Hex is like, what's happened? Cole basically tells him what happens, and Hex is not happy with how Cole handled it, because Hex is like, well, you kind of just folded immediately. Like, you say you have like all this trust in yourself and all of that, but then like you immediately crumbled. And also I told you to like protect yourself and your holiday. Like, don't give up stuff for me. And Cole
he reveals
is like,
that it's personal.
Yeah. But then Cole's like, but no, you're fine. We can hear you just fine.
I'm fine. I can't hear you guys. You guys keep going in and out.
Really?
So on my end. Yeah, like that's sorry if I'm like interrupting a bunch just because I'm like, oh, and that was in the middle of a conversation. Sorry. No? Okay.
No, you're good. Okay, I'll go in. And yeah, and then this is when Cole drops the L bomb, which is the I love you bomb. And Hex is like, you can't say that. And fair enough. Honestly, Hex being like, whoa, we haven't even talked about what we are. And on top of it, you're like doing all these things for me, which I did not ask you to do.
There's a lot of Cole doing fair. What he wants.
Yeah. But Cole does also bring up, he's like, yeah, but I want to know what we're going to do after this. And this is when Hex breaks Cole's heart, because he's like, I didn't expect anything to happen afterwards. And Cole's like, I really wanted to do something, like have something after this. It was so sad.
It was sad, and like I see Cole's point of view, because he probably was like, well, I don't see why not. And it's sad that they didn't have this conversation, but it really proves of how short of a time that this has been, that they didn't have big conversations like, where is this going?
Yeah, they didn't just have the time, and because of that, it just blew up in their face. Because Cole was like, I know you love me. I know you like have these strong feelings for me. And Hex is like, well, then go through with the collective. And they're at this stalemate, because Hex is like, I don't want you to protect me. I can protect myself. And like, I have all this pressure and I could do it myself. And then there's Cole going like, but I love you. I want to protect you because I love you. And I want to help you if I can. And it's heartbreaking. This one was a hard third act breakup. I was like, oh, this is sad.
It was sad, especially like reading it. Like it kind of felt like they were arguing the same point.
Yes, and I think that's what actually makes it a good third act breakup, is the fact that they were basically arguing the exact same thing, but they were misunderstanding what the other was saying.
A misunderstanding trope?
Well, misunderstanding in like the good way, and like misunderstanding in the sense where they both want the other to be happy, but they also want to be selfishly happy themselves, but neither of them want to, like, they don't know how to say that to each other.
They don't know where the compromise is going to be, and it's a hard conversation to have just out loud when you hadn't figured that out yourself. Clearly, Cole didn't think about this.
A lot. Also, there's a lot in the air, so fair enough. So they break up.
Marriage is about to happen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because Hex it leaves is meant to leave the next day. And it's the next morning, and Cole is woken up in his suite after he went back to his room the night before, where Chris and Iris were comforting him, and he wakes up to Chris next to him, making sure he's okay. And this is when it is announced that, well, it's not announced, but Iris tells Cole that everyone now knows that she, quote unquote, did not choose Halloween and chose Cole, which is not true. Obviously, we all know that. And yeah, an engagement is announced between Iris and Cole, and there's going to be a wedding in a couple days, because the whole thing was that they're going to do like a really quick marriage ceremony. So they're going to get literally married within like 2 days.
And it was already conveniently planned. Oh no.
It's insane. It's like kind of insane. It's like, how would nobody see through this? But okay.
Yeah, it's really tough. You can't just put together a wedding in 2 days. But anyways,
especially the theme we get later. It's revealed that what's the theme of the wedding. But as they're lying there, and as Cole is reminiscing about kind of everything that they were talking about, he kind of has like an epiphany. Especially like considering like the blackmail and stuff, and Dad saying that he was going to tell everyone about the Halloween prince like co-conspiring. He just went, wait, he's bluffing. He's never actually done anything. It's just his words. Like, he's all bark, no bite. And that's when Cole's like, oh shit, we just have to call him out. Like, call his bluff. And that might work, because he doesn't want the backlash of all this stuff getting back to him, because then that would completely crumble his whole facade around him. Which honestly, that was kind of a big move. I was like, go Cole. Okay, there you go. There's that brain cell working.
And honestly, that makes Santa even a little bit eviler.
Yeah, a little bit. The fact he hasn't done anything and it's just him yapping, like, ooh, okay.
He's literally just a yapper.
He is, in a bad way.
Bad yapper.
They decide then to go through with the winter holiday collective. And when Iris asks if Cole wants to include Hex in this, he goes, no, he broke my heart, Iris.
Dramatic.
I think you're being a little dramatic, but okay. I get it.
Spoiler, Iris does not listen.
Iris does not listen, and neither does Chris, which, fair enough. So, it's the day before Christmas, and all through the house, Chris and Cole were stirring to cause a coup.
Wow, what a good rhyme.
Thank you. I tried my best. I tried so well. And they go in, and they're meant to present the uninviting of the Winter Collective to Dad, and they don't bring it because this is when they're actually wanting to plan to do the whole bluff thing. And then Ren, who we said was important, has come back into this mix. She rushes into the room saying, no, sir, I actually already read over these uninvitations in which the prince wrote, and I already sent them out, see? And she shows him some fake uninvitations, and Santa's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, because, it's really close to Christmas, and I'm really busy. And Ren's like, yeah. Need anything else, Santa?
She's the queen of trying to do what everyone else is doing and doing it better. She is bluffing better than anyone has bluffed.
True. And when Chris and Cole leave the office, they're like, what the fuck? How did she know? And Ren just like tells him, she goes, hey, look, the staff is on your side. We've seen what has been going on with Santa, and obviously things aren't going well, and we would like to see some change. And she posits that the whole reason that Santa's been acting out this way is because he misses his ex-wife, who also abandoned him. So there's the abandonment issues coming back full circle. So she posits that he wants to make Christmas better and reach so far because it's almost like he's proving himself to his ex-wife.
It's very baby come back vibes, like
baby come back to me. Yeah.
Really thinks that he's gonna catch her attention when she's like on a beach with the beach detector guy. Like, that's very different vibes, but Santa's trying.
Very, very different. Santa is trying. I feel like Santa, if you just moved to a warmer place, she might have been fine, but she also seems like a narcissist, so who knows? But
who knows? Different problem.
Different problem, different time. And then it's the next day, and it's Christmas Eve. Things are going as planned, and Chris gets ready. No, not Chris. Cole. I've done it again. Cole gets ready for his quote-unquote wedding, and when he steps out, he and Chris are wearing similar outfits, and then they realize that his whole wedding is themed around what? The Nutcracker.
It's so dramatic. Like, they're dressed as toy soldiers, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Get it?
You know what? I kind of get it. And with Iris's whole thing with wearing like multicolored dresses like throughout the book, I was like, okay, wait, that actually would fit. That'd be a good fit. But as Cole is entering the ballroom, he realizes like how many like non-friends are there because of how Christmas has been treating other people. And then this is when Santa intercepts Cole because he obviously sees the people who were invited, in which he didn't invite, in which Cole invited for the Winter Collective, and Santa is pissed. And again, Santa's like berating, like literally drags him into the area where Cole had taken Iris after the whole engagement announcement, like literally 2 weeks before. And he's like, I trusted you. Like, how are you doing this? Like, I really thought you actually cared about the Halloween prince. And Cole's just like, bet. Do it. Fucking do it. And Santa's like,
It's very father-son, because I really do like how like it's mentioned here that Cole says, I've never seen him this furious with me, and you've got Santa pacing back and forth, and he mentions here that he says, you get out there, marry that Easter princess, and then you are done. Do you hear me? He doesn't even mention Iris by name. At this point, these are just things and people to play it with, and he's kind of lost his humanity at this point, and he's definitely lost his grip and is going off the rails. Santa off the rails a little bit.
Santa off the rails. Be careful, grandmas. He may come and hit you just because he can.
And then Cole hits Santa with a line and says, he mentions the mom.
Oh yeah,
no amount of perfection will bring her back.
I'm like, damn.
What a slap in the face. Like, ouch.
Yeah, it did shut him up, though, which is what was needed. Because right then is when those holidays are brought into the room by Chris. And Cole has this big speech of being like, hey, I really think we should actually work together and not actually, take your joy from the different holidays, and being like, I'm sorry, like, this has happened, and this is how Christmas has been acting. I really want to do this better. And they're like, yeah, and how can we trust you? And he goes, you just have to. Like, I want things to be better for all of us in the future, and I don't want, like, holidays to go away and bring joy to the world, yada, yada, yada. And everyone claps. Yay! And Santa is stunned into silence.
I think he kind of leaves because he just kind of departs the party. Santa's like,
Before he does, though, he does look to Cole and he goes, I wasn't going to hate your brother. Which, damn. he goes, but what stopped me is realizing what you thought of me. And I'm like, I just kind of sat there and I went, maybe that is a moment in which he didn't realize how far off the rails he was, because this man really needs help.
And no one was like talking to him though. That's like, and I get it. Like Santa was kind of to the point where like he's hard to help in this situation, but like he wasn't getting any help either. He has mommy issues of his own.
Mommy issues for you. Mommy issues for you. Mommy issues for you. Everyone gets mommy issues.
Everyone.
And so also Iris's dad isn't pleased. He's kind of like stunned in the corner. And when everything, like everyone cheers and they're like, yay, this is going to be new. So then, of course, evil Santa then agrees to kind of step back and allow things to happen. Basically, in this, he's just silently agreeing that this is what's going to happen moving forward because there's nothing he can do to stop it now, especially since, the blackmail and stuff is a little out there. Not everything is out yet, but there's hints of it being like, oh, so we were doing some shady stuff behind the scenes. Okay.
He definitely like sprinkled, like it's kind of like it's in the air, and it's like all throughout all of this. You're like, but where's Hex?
Yeah, and Cole is being drug out like to the dance floor by Iris, and he's like, I don't want to dance, Iris. I'm so tired. And she goes, I understand, babes. I do. But we have a little surprise for you, and that's when the Halloween prince has arrived once again back into the ballroom. And he's decked out in some color this time. That's right, folks. He's wearing red underneath that black outfit.
Whoa.
Because he's only been wearing... I know, he's basically been wearing black, and this is like the whole thing that Cole needs to like re-energize him, and he like pushes through the crowd, and he's like, Hex, I'm so sorry. And Hex is like, shh. I need to tell you something, Cole. I love you. I love you.
Like,
it's very sweet.
Very sweet moment, and they're pretending to like dance. And then Hex decides to use his magic again.
Yep.
And just...
Well, they do say before that, they're like, oh, I've missed you, and like we have all this love confession scenes, and Hex does mouth to Cole. He goes, kiss me, and Cole's like, are you sure? Because then like that's gonna be out everywhere, and Hex is like, I don't care, I just want to be with you. And then that's when they make out, and then everyone's like,
what if the press finds out?
And they're like, I don't care, I want to go bone my sexy boyfriend. And then that happens, because that is when, as Christina mentions, Hex decides to open a portal into Cole's room.
Which is honestly like, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I couldn't expect it to go any other way. Those two were horned up for each other. And yeah, they bone.
Yeah, and I think specifically it's mentioned, Hex says, can we go slow later? So they're clearly not going slow now.
You know what? Fair enough. Because it was I did kind of like the line where he goes, I want to go slow later. He goes, I don't want to go onto the bed because I know you'll worship me, but I don't want to be worshipped by you right now. I want to be ravaged. And I was like, oh.
Sydney's living for these lines.
I do live. Well, here's the thing. I have been drudging through so much mediocre or bad romance that I just need these little kernels of goodness that get me through.
Well, and then there is a little bit of goofy sprinkled in here with, like, I think a ghost decoration pops up. And apparently that happens multiple times.
Yeah, because Hex does cuss while they're having sex, and that's what happens when, he cusses. And that's very cute. There is another line, but this one's actually cute. It's not sexy. I promise, guys. I promise. I'm not horned up. I promise. This is the line. It's at the end of chapter 21, but it reads, Joy creates magic, and I've never believed more than with him. And I was like, oh,
That's
cute.
cute.
So cute. My heart. And then we get to our last chapter of the book, which I'll be kind of real, Christina. I didn't think this was the last chapter of the book. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, okay. And I want to discuss this after. Okay, I want to discuss this after we just talk about it real quick. So they're awake and they decide Hex has told Cole to meet him in Iris's room. So they go to Iris's room for breakfast. Chris gifts Hex a sweater that says all I got for Christmas was coal or something like that. No, my stocking is there's coal in my stocking. And those two are being like cutesy and all that while Chris and Iris are like kind of acting a little off. And it's a little strange.
It's I deserve coal in my stocking. And I have a guess on this where Chris is getting all of these sweatshirts and stuff. I think Chris is using his Christmas magic.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like, right? Like, because he's just coming up with these really funny ones. And I'm like, I think it's Christmas magic.
So after all this kind of cutesiness / awkwardness, Chris kind of like runs out of the room and it's revealed that Cole has a lot of meetings and like some ceremonial things with his dad and the other winter holidays today. And there's going to be a lot of meetings like talking about the collective in the future. And it's also hinted at that Chris has told Iris his feelings, but it may not have gone well. And Hex basically, yeah. And then Hex pushes Cole to go like talk to his brother and they like can't stop kissing. And Cole is coming up with silly little like headlines in his head about like what the papers / press will say. And it ends on a note of just like I think it's Christmas Prince falls in love with Prince of Halloween, I think is what.
Prince Cole of Christmas is inexhaustibly in love with Prince Hex of Halloween. Yeah, I think that fits best of all.
Yep. And then that's it.
That's it.
We don't get any confirmation whether or not like Chris and Iris actually like talked. And
nothing.
I don't know.
And you get hints of like Santa's just kind of vibing, like
kind of mad. What? I don't know. I'll be real. I didn't love this ending. I kind of thought it was not quite done. I thought we had at least one more chapter.
No, with the book being so heavy on all of the like actual goings on of the palace and Christmas, and then all of a sudden it's like, and we're not gonna like resolve that, which obviously is probably gonna be like a next book thing, but I'm like, it's weird not to resolve the problems that you presented the whole book about.
Yeah, because like maybe instead of maybe the whole thing is like Chris is just like, hey, yeah, I told her I don't want to talk about it, but just like be my brother. And then that could be the ending of like that chapter. And then the last one is like Cole going to Santa and like doing all these things, and Santa's not like actively like being upset with him and is like, you did what you needed to do. And like, I'm not gonna stand in your way or something like that. Like, that would have been like little bow. That would have been my little Christmas present, my little bow. And then we could have had like the little headliner thing. And yeah.
Yeah, instead we got more of like a montage, like not flashback, like a fast forward where it's like a little hint of things are happening.
Yeah, but that was then like, yeah, and then we got a little acknowledgement for like what's going to happen in the next book, which is Go Luck Yourself, which it comes out shortly. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't love the ending. I'll be real and brutally honest with that. But that's the end of The Nightmare Before Kissmas. Ashlyn, have you got any more questions for us before we conclude this one?
What can I say? I'm a questioning girl. So, as you said, the next book, Go Luck Yourself, comes out in March. What other holidays would you most like to see in this series?
So New Year's was mentioned, but no details were given, and I'm very curious about what their vibe is.
I agree. Valentine's was also mentioned quite a bit, and I would like to see if there's like something to do with like competing things between, like, where does Valentine's Day fall? Is it like a spring holiday or is it a more winter holiday? Like, that's interesting, you know?
Wintry.
Winter-esque.
February?
Do we need to talk about what our solstices are?
Maybe.
So the spring equinox is March 21st.
Okay.
Which would make February and Valentine's Day solidly winter.
Okay. Good to know.
And
the more you know.
The winter solstice is December 21st. Which makes me an autumn baby. Yeah, December is mostly autumn.
Oh
Interesting. Interesting.
Wait, I do have a point with the holidays. Another funny one would be kind of like 4th of July or like any kind of Independence Day.
Multiple Independence Days would be fun.
Yeah, is it like the court has all the Independence Days and there's like the American person?
Yes.
What do you think about the bank holidays, though? What if it's just like one singular financial dude who's just like in his palace and he's like, so I've run the numbers.
And it's tax day today.
Yeah, it's tax day.
Do you think the religions are like one court and then they have a holiday for each like person? Because like Judaism has a lot of holidays.
Oh, true.
Yeah, Hanukkah was not really mentioned.
Yeah.
Wild.
I feel like because Hanukkah is like maybe a little more more based in actual religion, Christmas has become its own beast.
That's true.
Have to. Yeah.
That was a point
so
of the book.
Because I was thinking of that too. Yeah.
Commercialism.
Damn.
So the book is told entirely from Cole's perspective. If you could get a single POV chapter from a different character, who would it be? What chapter?
Oh.
Ooh, okay, I know. I want Chris in the sleigh ride.
That's funny. I like that one. I would like...
Je voudrais.
Honestly, I would love Iris's POV, actually, from this ice... like, the ice skating rink. Because she's, like, put through a lot of shit, and I think she deserves a POV.
That's true. She does.
Yeah. Like, we obviously know Cole's feelings, but she's a little more guarded, and I kind of would have loved to get in her brain and, like, see what that's all about.
Okay. My last question before I ask for your rating out of 5 is, if you could spend the day with Hex in Halloween, what would you want to see and do?
Oh. I would want to see, first of all, if the city area in which his people live is like Halloween Town. Because Halloween Town seems like the funnest place on earth. I would love to meet up with like one of their makeup and costume artists and like just get dressed to the nines in whatever outfit I want, you know, and just like have fun there. And then I would love to go to like a masquerade or like a spooky thing and just like have fun and do stuff like that. And maybe go to an actual haunted house and actually be scared.
Actually be scared.
I actually take that back. I'm actually very terrified of haunted houses, especially the fake ones. So I'm.
I think I would want to try the hot chocolate. He mentioned that is really, really good, and I believe him. And I was really focused on the food this whole book. So yeah, I want to try the hot chocolate. I want a hot chocolate bar.
Just sit with his family and sit with his little brothers, and then have a bunch of the world's like different like popular candies.
Yeah, that's fun. The brothers also, I want to hang out with his little brothers. They seem really funny.
Yeah.
Very chaotic.
I love that. I love that. You'll fit right in. All right. No, you have to ask us what our rating is.
Hey guys, what's your cute little rating out of 5 for this book?
Thank you. I rated this personally a 4 out of 5 zombie gingerbread men. I thought it was cute. I liked it. There were a couple things that I didn't love, but overall, I would suggest this book to someone if they were looking for something like cutesy and Halloween Christmassy-esque.
I think I'm thinking this through because I haven't gotten to that yet where I thought about what I would rate it, but I'm thinking a 3.75. I really wanted to like it, but I definitely stalled out right before the third act breakup. I don't know why my attention I lost it. And it wasn't bad, but it just didn't hold up. And I think it's because I held it to the standard of red, white, and royal blue. And that's so unfair to the book because it's not red, white, and royal blue. And that's like my fave. But there, like Sydney said, there were some moments where I was like taken out. And I was like, what? Why? So 3.75.
Yeah. But overall, would recommend. I thought it was cutesy. It was cute.
Yeah,
I don't normally jump in on the ratings things, but I do have to say I rated this like a 4.8 on my own spreadsheet and then a 5 on Goodreads.
Wow.
And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I have actually gotten to meet Sarah Rash, like listen to her talk about her books, interact with her, and I cannot be a hater of an author that I get to like hear them passionately speak about their books. Sarah, if by any chance you are listening to the end of the second episode of this book and you haven't already blocked us, loved getting to talk to you, loved getting to hear about your books, and honestly, a banger. Loved it. Fantastic.
Honestly, I would love to chat with you too, and I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to.
We have some questions, and I meant this is the acknowledgments, and I read them because I love reading acknowledgments from the author, and I would like to say that there was something mentioned about little peppermint candies as pet companions, and I want to say, why did you not keep that here?
I would have loved that. Oh,
it would have been so cute.
But to all our listeners, and hopefully Sarah, again, please don't hate us. Please don't block us. We actually like you.
Please.
Thank you for listening. Please. Thank you for listening to our reviews of The Nightmare Before Kissmas by Sarah Rash. I know I said it wrong again, didn't I? Rash.
She was introduced as Sarah Rash.
Okay, I just feel like I sound too Midwestern when I go Rash.
Yeah, it sounds off to me, but that's how she was introduced, so that's what I use.
Okay. Thank you, listeners, and hopefully Sarah, for listening in to our episodes on The Nightmare Before Kissmas by Sarah Rash. If you enjoyed listening to us chat about this little Christmas book, well, you're in luck. We had another one that we did last year, which we actually didn't enjoy as much. So if you want to see what an actually negative review of a Christmas book is for us, go check out that episode. And if you liked just listening to us, you've got so many other episodes to go listen to. If you want to find us and interact with us, please, please, please go on to Instagram, TikTok, X, and to Twitch and YouTube. Go check us out there. Also, go listen to us on wherever you listen to podcasts, which is, I don't know, you figure it out. You're listening to one right now. Anyway. And good night to all you gorgeous Grinches. Toodaloo.